Okay. All right. Verify. You should even look at this to leave. It says pause and thought, but something's happening. Light flashing. I'm sure this is what happened today. Let's keep fingers crossed. We come through the end of two with all of this in effect. Typically, what I do is I will do a review from last day. So last day, very introductory stuff. I would say the review part as part of them because we have some fundamental practices that we need to adopt for ourselves. And that is how we use GitHub and how we use the command line in relation to GitHub, use it as version control, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just going to keep using this terminology, and hopefully it'll become second nature to you. So we will get to that. We'll create a new Git repository, a brand new project, and we'll talk about a little bit how I'm going to structure demos for the next, 11 classes, or 10 classes, not counting today. So presentation. So HTML is, you may remember last year, I was talking about those 3 core 10 really wanted what fair done. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's very much what is the root or the bedrock of web development. It's a good way to put it. So as part of what you're doing today in Compass, you're going to be getting starting on that app, your web application. It's a fish-themed Instagram or a nautical-themed Instagram called Instagram. So that's be carrying you through that, and you should, if you haven't already, you'll get the starter app. You'll set up your Cloud9 environment and all, and that's what we're here to help you with. As part of that, and as part of the lecture and the demo that follows, we will be kind of learning the most rudimentary of these bedrock technologies. That's not to say that it's by any stretch of imagination. HTML has its complexities and it has reasons to reflect and dwell upon the choices that we make. That being said, it's also probably the easiest to acquire and to understand. So we did a little bit of this last day. You're going to get to see this again as part of the review for the demo. And styles actually come up on next Monday. So we'll really get to see how we make that jump between just the structure and something that is useful to people. So how do web pages work? Conceptually, they're kind of arranged like a bunch of boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes. And I always take this opportunity just to show you like a real live demo of this. Another one of the tools that you should become comfortable with. So you're learning Git, you're learning your IDE or your command line on Cloud9. What comes built into the browser? So I'll go to Google.com first, and I'll rep what you saw on the slide. Calgary. Whoa, what happened?
Being hacked.
I wonder. What on earth? I just hope the video. Is the video still going? I got kind of. Xanax. You put X in there. 4th on the list is Xanax. That's funny. Okay. Drug dealers always make a lot of money, right? Starbucks, liquor store, it don't matter where you get it from. But we were searching for Calgary, Alberta. I want to introduce that Chrome. So this is the Chrome inspector. And basically every browser, whatever it may be, at least desktop browser, has something called inspector. On my machine, I can do 2 things. I can hold Control, Shift, and J. I think for Mac users, it's Open Apple, Shift I, or something like that. What's generally universal, though, you can open up the inspector. If you just hover over some element on the page, right-hand click, select Inspect, and you can see there's my shortcut, Control, Shift I. So
Windows is
yeah, 12. So what I've got now is that HTML, the bare bones, the structure, this rudimentary part of something even equally rudimentary in a way, this bedrock of web development.
I like to think of it, HTML as the skeleton.
Yeah.
It's like the bones.
Yeah. CSS would be skin, and JavaScript would be what?
The muscles.
The muscles. Ah, interesting. Interesting analogy. I wouldn't have gone for that. Okay. But notice the slides, all it comes down to is I want to introduce, and I know some of you already got it, but we can now find these boxes. We can look inside and see how these boxes are arranged on the inside. Come back to our here. Notice, let's give ourselves a little bit more than me. But so here's kind of a larger box, and I can dig into it a little bit, go into a box inside that box. And this one, I can open it a little bit further, go all the way down, and each element on the page in some way is contained in one of these boxes. If that's not clear yet, that will come as we as we progress. Boxes, the locks, and there's a couple of big boxes, different types of boxes. Sure, see that Simpsons where they go on the field trip to the box factory? Just popped into my head, and it's like, well, we get to see an assembled box. No, those are assembled in Michigan. It was, I guess, funny at the time. Documents have these boxes, right? And so here's some really generally rather big boxes. Here's the body. That's kind of like the biggest apart from the main box, right? This is like the secondary box. Depending on where we place these, in what order, and how we tell them to be displayed, they behave in different ways. So again, here's the biggest box. You saw last day we had that skeleton HTML page, and HTML was the biggest box on the very outside. We also saw the body. The body is where the stuff, the actual content is stored. So that's a very large box as well. Header is something different, but there's also a head. And then the head, this is kind of a special box because it's invisible. We put metadata in it. We put data that describes how the content in the body is supposed to look and behave. That's what goes in the head. So this is probably the most, I don't know, I always kind of liken this to Trivial Pursuit, right? At first you kind of got to memorize it and maybe you can regurgitate it, but this is core knowledge here and really the most valuable slide on this deck. What we have here is an HTML element. This one is an anchor tag. Anchor tags consist of attributes, which are assigned values. Not every tag, but most tags have a closing tag, and inside that you can put wrap text or other content that you want to display to your user. So, anyone familiar with the anchor tag? What it does? Yeah. So if you click on it, in this case, it would take you. You'd probably see, visit the brook, and it would be blue, and it would have an underline underneath it. And if you clicked on it, it would open that page in your browser. Exactly. So really, just terminology. An element makes up the whole thing. An element consists of a tag in which you can define attributes and set values upon attributes. And this, in turn, this is metadata in a sense. It often is, I suppose. And it helps determine how this tag will look and behave once again. Okay, so here's some very common tags. P tag, just shout it out. What does P stand for? Paragraph, yeah. So it's kind of likened to a typeset book, a novel. You would wrap individual paragraphs in a P tag. Here we have an anchor tag, which we just discussed. It has an attribute. Remember how I said I said most. I said most tags have a closing tag. There are a couple of exceptions. The most notable one here is what? What is IMG? Image tag, that's right. An image tag has a source attribute, which is assigned this value. And here, if you understand how the A tag way it works, you can probably guess that by putting this on your web page, the browser will request that this image be loaded from this address on the internet, this URL. So you saw all those boxes. The boxes were inside of all the other boxes. To demarcate that, to give us these visual cues in our actual code, because I think it's natural that we assume that an article would contain a header, and the header may contain like a headline and maybe a byline or something similar to that. Every time we wrap an element inside of another element, we're nesting up a box. And here, really, I think this is intuitive. I don't think that this comes as any surprise. But one thing I do want to point out is for your own benefit, when you're nesting tags, when you're writing your code, make sure that the code you write reflects that nesting. See how each of these is indented a couple of spaces every time you put a box inside of another box. Box goes in, hit tab, or hit space 2 times, or something like that. Seems trivial, but it's not. This is, it's a basic expectation. So This is really actually is review. We did this and we're going to do this again. Here's the biggest box. Here's the box that you can see all the stuff in. Here's the box that's got the instructions on how to display this box, broadly speaking. Very basic. We saw this last day. I'm going to recreate this again, so this will all be part review. And it's really where you kind of see these things in action and get a feel for them. Worth mentioning are our semantic tags. These are as much for the benefit of the programmer as they are for search engines. Like, I can't say how widely adopted they are, but Google is probably leading the charge. If Google downloads your page and needs to index some information, it would likely appreciate these kind of cues, right? This is what we mean. This data contained here, wrapped up in this box, has some sort of meaning apart from the surrounding content, which also may have a different meaning. You wrap something in a nav tag, what does that mean? It means it's probably right up at the top of the screen with like a login and maybe a home page, just a link that you see that you can go back and forth. You see the footer tag, well, you got a couple of options. Maybe it means it's right at the bottom. They usually put like, the about, the contact, the copyright date, all that kind of stuff. It could also be part of an article tag, which I don't think is funny. Well, I don't think we have an article tag to show you. But did it? Yeah, somewhere in here, that's also a semantic tag. And don't think of these things as you're quick to think that it means an article in a magazine or a blog post. I tend to think of it more like an article of clothing. It's just an item, right? Your page might not have any blog type or that kind of content. Doesn't mean it can't be wrapped in an article, but this does carries meaning to search engines and programmers. So don't dwell on it too much, but if you see a tag, apart from a couple of exceptions, you see a semantic tag and you think you know how to use it, you basically have that liberty. And it will enrich your code in ways you might not expect. Well, depends on what you expect, I suppose. I'd expect to do exactly what I told it. So describing text. Okay, so yeah, some tags, like these ones here. We wrap content that we want to deliver to the user in these tags, and it's going to behave a little bit different. So if you're new to this, you maybe have never thought about it, but what does the P tag actually do? And I'll tell you, by default, it's usually about an 8-pixel margin from the side and a little bit of padding on the top and the bottom. That's the default style. But it does change the way in which the content is presented. Any guess as to what this EM and EM does? That's not a guess. In practice, it usually italicizes. But there's no reason why I couldn't, right? We're talking about like default styles. Monday, we start talking about how we can really make a page look the way we envision. Right now, we're like erecting a frame, like you're building a house, or Andrew said, like a skeleton, right? Doesn't have anything. It's not presentable yet. It's barely usable. These ones just have default ways of presenting that data. It's up to CSS then to apply the appropriate styles. So yeah, here we're talking about default stylings. Again, probably sounds like most of you have had some exposure to HTML. I guess it's pretty obvious. I was going to quiz you, but these are headers, right? Like headlines in a paper. Maybe the breaking news, and then the second one would be, I don't know. I can't stop thinking about The Simpsons. The mayor's beer-swilling brother Clovis runs over Lisa's cat. Right? I've watched a lot of Simpsons. I know this is just coming today. I don't know why. Third thing might be the date, right? So like these smaller but information we want to emphasize. In that way, these are all tags or semantic tags, arguably. So, okay, our turn. Demo time. right back from the beginning. It was good because I had them, even just to make sure it's recorded. Yep, still back. I can publish you. Just nobody crazy. I did something seriously, truthfully, but there it is. I'm recording. Look at that. Pause. Stop. Okay. I'm in good shape. So right from the top, what we did, I asked how do you get as fast as you can. So I go to my GitHub, and I'm creating a brand new one. This would be the repository I use to build the demo project as we move forward through the weeks. Because I kind of like to, I've done a couple, maybe I'll show them another class, like that we built here in class, me just doing demonstration stuff. So I make a brand new one. Now, what did I call it? Oh, it's my new repository. And I was inspired through a real project. I remember this project boasts deal breaker, just like that. And the description purpose, I want to spot 3 deals at the grocery store. Things assume you when you get to, I guess realistically, I'm at middle age, godly. But being a dad and basically, you're broke all the time, and you're thinking about like stuff at the grocery store, right? But you never really know if it's a good deal. We got a co-op in your house, we got a Sobeys, we got Walmart, and every now and then have sales, right? But I can never remember what I actually paid for last time. So the app, I call it the bogus deal breaker because I don't know if it's just hustling. Co-ops are usually very expensive, but then I go there and it's like they'll have like a sale for like $8.99 on a kilo of cheese, right? This for a guy like me, this is like Christmas time. So I want to remember what I paid last time historically. So I go back and say, okay, well maybe I'll wait till next time. This isn't the next deal. So hence I call it the bogus deal breaker. That is what I'm going to do. So I am going to initialize this repository with a README. This is the easiest, fast way to get started. So just as a quick recap, what I did, I pressed that little sign. I entered in a unique repository name, give it a brief description, and I'm going to, I want the README. Where did I go? Oh, yes, initialize this repository with a README. This will give me something immediately upon which I can clone into a Cloud9 environment. I hit repository, it takes almost no time. And here I am, brand new repository, just waiting to be cloned to pushing polling information. So I'm going to grab this address right up here. And I'm kind of Cloud9. So this is brand new. You're only going to see me do this today. I think you've seen it twice now. I think you'll get to recall it with the time when it comes to your turn. I'm going to queue ways, and this is just blank. But maybe I'll make a special one. So you guys, if you're curious, you can come back to, well, what did we do on week 1, day 2? So I'll say week 1, day 2, beat bogus deal breaker demo. That's my code word, bogus deal breaker. I got to change it out of Lighthouse Labs because they don't leave repositories anyway. That's not fully true, but there we are. So here's where I enter that repository. This is brand new. A lot of you may have just started fresh. Pick one of these templates. Nothing wrong with that. Being a professional developer, just show you the way I do it because it's the easiest, fastest. So what did I do? Went to GitHub, created a new repository. Come here. I wouldn't normally use Cloud9, but you're getting the idea. Whatever's easy and fast. Do this. In a few short steps, I've got a brand new project that I can deploy to the cloud, very quickly. I say quickly, look what's happening. It's going so slow. Did I press it?
Is there a validation issue? I think there's a missing field.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I did. I mixed up the description. Oh, shoot. Let's come back here. So I actually want to put this here, and week 1, day 2, BDB. Just saying. All right, create space. There we go. So it's solid versus. In this case, I think we should CPU. I think that's just 512 megabytes of RAM and 2 gigabytes storage. So I mean, it's not exactly a power workhorse or anything, but it is adequate for development purposes, and it's for free. It's actually quite generous, and you just have as many of these things you want. Okay, so here I am. Remember from last day, I'm going to do a little bit of that same stuff, but we're going to kind of make a richer document, and this is in anticipation of Monday, where we start creating the user interface. We're going to use CSS to style it, to make it something easy for people to look at and say, oh, this is an app that you use to track what you paid last time at the grocery store. And everybody can see, right? And you can share it on Facebook, and people will say, oh, look, cornflakes, family packs, $99, that's a good deal. And so I go to co-op, right? This is the idea. So keep going there. First thing I want to do is create my index page. You see what I did there? I don't want to go too fast. I'll take this out. I'll do that again just in case my rambling got too much to bear. Bear with me again. I'm going to delete that. So I'm just creating a brand new file. One file is called readme.md. MD again, it stands for Markdown. I right-hand click in this File Explorer component on the IDE, and it behaves exactly like what you'd expect from your File Explorer in Mac OS or Windows or whatever you might be using. So I'm going to say right down near the bottom, right up new folder. I say new folder, and then I type in index. If I can do it, index.html. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. This is that rudimentary, that bedrock technology. So we're going to basically just copy what we saw on the slides. We're going to make that skeleton document. Here's the biggest box. Press it on to the other side, and I've got two other components. I've got the head. We don't actually see what's in the head. And we got the body. The body is where we contain all this content. And notice, so now I've already got one big box here. This is important stuff. It seems trivial. But I've got this big HTML box, and I've got two little boxes called head and body on the inside. Every time I go in, Cloud9 is trying to be very helpful with me. But I want to make sure I hit tab. This is a little bit wider than I normally would, but I'm not going to change the defaults. This should be what it kind of looks like for you. So now down here in turn, in the body, just make sure, for a sanity check, we're gonna do H1 here and just say, well, we'll give it the app name. This is called the bonus deal breaker. I'm not much of a marketer, but it sounded pretty exciting when I was thinking of it this afternoon. So there's the title and site. I want to now deliver this to the internet. I want to make it publicly accessible. Of course, with Cloud9, it turns off the moment you log out of the IDE. But in this brief window, we can show off as though you were in front of a class or you want to show off your friends, whichever it might be. A big part of the is showing off to your friends. Very true. All right. So I've started my server, and I probably should have gone a little bit slower there. Apologize. I'll recap. I went to run, and I've got all the different options. Currently, still one of the most popular web servers is called Chi. I'd be surprised if you had not started in passing. It's still to stay popular. So that's what's right down here. You can see where I used to have my command line. I've got the command line on the tab. And I've got my JavaScript environment so I can play with JavaScript. You can close these. You can put these. You don't have them around. But this is my server output. So this is what Apache. He's just saying, okay, I'm all set, ready to go. You want to put this address? I'll keep taking. I've opened this in a new tab. So I actually just clicked on there. And I don't want to do it in pre-let, so you go to it and it'll open up its own brand new browser window. Okay, so here it is. Wonderful. Projects, this is kind of in its incipient stage. Now's not a bad time to make a commit, right? So here's some more review. I've always got Git in mind. I've accomplished something, very substantial. I mean, I know it's just a demo, but I want to make sure I save my information because who knows? Cloud9 could crash. We got to get it off site, get it up to GitHub. So I say git status. Now, where I went was over here on the server. I went over here, and this is just a bash command line. We call it bash. Git status. I do it almost reflexively. I just shorten it to GS or something like that. I type it so often. But there's a point where my laziness doesn't pay off. So I have index.html. It's telling me I've never seen this file before. I have to run version control. So I say git add. There's a couple ways. I'll show you the easiest, fastest way. The period. It's kind of hard to see down there, but it is git add period, and that just takes everything. Everything that tracking that notices there. So you want me to track this? It's just kind of for. It's just saying bring everything in. I do git stat again. Say, oh, we got a new file. Okay, yeah, let's bring it under version control. I say git commit M for a message, and I say this just because this is my own personal ledger. I'll say hello to file. Hello index.html. You can feel free to copycat me this file. So I just staged a file or brought it under version control. Then I staged it. Then I committed it. And I said, okay, at this point, this is what I've accomplished. All I've really accomplished here is that I created a new file. So that's why I said hello. So I say git status again. things are kind of different now. Okay, well, you're on branch master. You're looking at your current environment, but you're ahead of GitHub. Origin master. Origin is the name we give GitHub, or well, the name GitHub gave itself, really, but that's default. So I want to make sure that what I keep all the way up in the clouds is the same as I've got on this other thing all the way up over on cloud 9. So I say push. First time you do this, you got to do something kind of silly. Well, it's not silly. It's it's just one of those things that minor irritation life of a developer, I suppose. Git push origin. It's important to know that you got to do it at least once. I will authenticate. I think it's part of the course where I figure out how to set up SL certificate so that you don't have your password every single time. I just do that. Okay, so there's your review and your basic work. Started a brand new project, cloned it, set up my development environment. Made I accomplished some, however small, to commit. And I want to show GitHub reflect the changes I'm currently at here out now. So I come back to my, I can bear that. Still a little bit nervous. I can come up to my GitHub account, and now I notice index.html. Okay, and there's my bogus deal breaker. All right, let's talk about how to make this actually look like the application I've got envisioned. So I'll come back to Cloud9, and I'm going to start some of these semantic things. And you probably heard me saying about the nav. This is hard and fast, but this is what's kind of invented nuts. Nav goes right at the top. It's a box. It's a little box that you're going to put right up at the top of your screen, or maybe right at the bottom of your screen. Right? Maybe you have a web app and it's meant to use your thumbs. It would make sense to then put the nav at the bottom of the screen. Right? Different ways to use it. But in practice, look, nothing much really happens here. So I just saved it. I come back to my website. It might change the margins a little bit. I'm thinking no. I'm going to press refresh, and I'm not expecting any change. Oh, I actually made it smaller. Okay, so nav by default, and we can use our inspector, has its own defaults. We haven't even touched CSS, right? But without some sort of default, the browser's not going to know what to do with it, right? It has to have something to fall back on. So if I look at nav, and I use this tool here at the top, say I can say CSS styles. Actually, I'm going to find more information on that. Interesting. Never actually looked at any of this stuff, but according to WebKit, this is CSS stuff. Hopefully in a couple of days, this will make a little bit more sense to you. Whenever you put a H1 box inside of nav, that's what it's saying. Apply these styles. So it made the font size a little bit smaller, right? So that's what we're going to be looking at on Monday. That was actually a little surprised it changed at all. Neat. Okay, so now I have my, I'm going to give it a practical purpose. I just want to make sure that no matter where I am in my application, which is better, put the anchor. I can always go, I'll say href equals slash. Slash means basically means go to the root directory and look for index.html. Okay, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. But by doing that, we'll see how it changes. Watch what happens. So I gotta take that out. See, my boxes are nesting. I took that one tag and I wrote an anchor tag. Just to make that really clear, there's nothing really wrong here with the presentation, but to be clear and to enforce these good habits of indentation and making presentable code, I'm going to hit enter and make sure that it's tabbed in. Likewise, the closing tag, I want to make sure it lines up with opening tag. Right? That tag, yeah. Yes, question.
It's really hard to see from back. Is there any way you can get just a little bit bigger?
Is it blurry?
Like it's just so small.
Hang on. Let's see what I can do. Well, it's making that bigger.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put it. Please, if you have something like a request like that, by all means. Well, I'm here for you. You need to see this, so please don't hesitate next time. Oh, I'm going to squish this down a little bit. Is everybody for that? Okay. So we haven't actually looked at this thing. This one's definitely going to change a little bit. If I come back, I didn't see it. This sometimes happens. You see this little circle. When I do Control S, it's an X. I got to make sure I save it, otherwise the web server will serve up the old file. So I press Enter, press Refresh, and now you see that default style, and it's got to be the most garish default style there is, right? Like this is the bare bones, unstyled link on every page, right? It all basically looks the same. So that's usually the first thing that we change when we start applying styles. So if you look at it, a little hand appears, and I know this is going to be way too small for you, but if, right at the bottom where it shows you, or gives you a peek of the link, it'll take me right back home. Right, just like that. Okay, so let's fill in. I have a little branding, I suppose. I will say, here's my slogan. The EM for emphasis. Real. Yeah. Exclamation point. Everybody else fraud, you're getting screwed. This is what I'm trying to say. Right? Hopefully this is semantics I'm conveying. So, come back to here and small step refresh. Just make sure everything's okay. Spot the reels. You'll see a little bit of styling on that reel, just a little bit of emphasis. We tag it this way. We give it that context. We give it that meaning. We can set our own styles. All right. So what's one of these things actually going to look like? I go to the grocery store. I see a good day on thing. I'm going to remember next. I want to be able to take out my phone, take a picture of the price, the product on the shelf. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm kind of debating. I want to add a really big box. I want to add a my struggle here right now at this moment is that I just want to add a layer of complexity. I think that this is something that will come in handy down the road. It's nothing special. It's just another style. It has that, that semantic impact. So just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to refresh. Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to add something, and I'm going to add an article. So I think it turns into an article flowing, not necessarily a blog post. But inside this article, then I'm going to show the picture that I took. And it's hopefully, I'm going to have it manually entered by hand, the price and maybe the weight and all that kind of stuff. So because I really want to put this in a real deal. So here's my article. My article, let's just start off with something easy. It's 55 cents for hashtag biz. It's a good way to take text. No one's laughing out there. Hashtag. But I want to be able to go back. Right? I want to be able to look at my app and just say, okay, well, just press the hashtag. Shows me what people have been paying for bananas near my house, right? Because the neat thing about taking these pictures is that you can get the GPS coordinates. So I might do some hand wavy stuff and that time permitting. So here's my articles. Don't go away. Here's my article, a growing web page. I'm adding boxes of one piece at a time. So right now I've got that, the hashtag. Eventually this will become a link and I can press on my cell phone and see what's happening. But I want an image. And I kind of went and I just took a couple of hand-picked images on Google. But I'm going to put that right up to the end. Just to kind of show you that the semantics are flexible within context. You might expect to see, I don't know, not expect to see a header, or at least not a header with an image. But I'm going to structure it this way. Why not? As long as I remain consistent. By compelling reason not to, I'll come back to maybe rigid in a future class. But I just want to show full. So when I search, I have pictures of grocery stores. So here's my 55-cent bananas. I'm going to pen. I took a picture on my cell phone for now. This will come later. But I want to display this on my web app. So to do that, if you know this trick, I'll show it to you now. Say you see a picture on the internet. I don't know. Say you want to see the AutoCAD. You see them right up there? If you want to actually just, oh wait, we got to save the link. Oh shoot, that's probably a vector or something. Hang on. Does everyone know Control Rate get image address? Does everyone know that, or is this new? I don't want to make any assumptions. Hang on. Okay, so let's just let's check here. Everybody knows not. Okay. But if I look at the image, oh shit, that's her. I can take the image, so this is kind of a redundant up here in this case. But find an image, right-hand click just as though you were going to inspect it, and you can get that on address, and you can download it, put it on, or just link to it, like what I'm going to do right now. So that's all I did. I found that address. You see it points to a JPEG file. JPEG stands for Joint Experts Photographers Group, or something like that. Image SRC, so that's a source attribute, right? Remember how some of these elements, this is the first element apart from this AH that has had an attribute. So by setting these values on these attributes, we change the way that the attribute, or sort of the element is presented or behaved. So I'm going to paste that line in there, and I'm going to close it. Image is kind of special. Remember I was talking.
So before that, you posted on SRT, you just pasted it right there?
Yep. Here, I'll go back. so you can see. Yeah, I mean, it goes pretty fast, right? So so in quotations, and then all at the end, I just show that image is one of those, doesn't need one of these slash closing tags, right? I don't need the slash image as if I was finding a paragraph, for example. I would need slash p to show the browser where the paragraph ends. Image, not that way. I need to get rid of it, put it back over here, and let's look. Fresh. So huge picture. There's a big problem there. It's way too big for my. This is something probably to see CSS. I'm going to do a quick fix for today's sake, but then on Monday we'll show you how to make this a proper size and put it in a presentable way. I really like the way like Instagram does it, where it takes up both sides of your, it takes up the whole width of your phone. So we'll go for a similar effect to that, but too big. So let's make a small adjustment. I'm going to set a different attribute, set a new value in the attribute. Now I think that actually might kind of deprecated, sort of forbidden. I'm not really sure people do this anymore, but I'm going to manually set the trader, which is what's here today. And I'll put that in quotes. You strictly need them. But I'm going to set it 500, and that's 5 pixels. It's about maybe a little bit wider than your cell phone screen. Cell phone, let's say, is probably, just leave it at 500. I'll do it like that. So I come back here, and I press, there we go. That's a lot more manageable. See how CSS is so vitally important in providing a good user experience. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there. So, and then way down here at the bottom, that's clearly got to be bigger, right? All sorts of problems. We're gonna solve those as we progress. So, right, this is kind of time for me. So, header. I've got this article. I can structure this a little bit more thoroughly. So, I've got my header. Right or wrong, I may or may not change it, but this is a section of the article. Like, don't get bogged down in this notion of blog articles or magazine articles. You just part of what constitutes an article, whatever that article may be. It could be if it's a shirt, an article of clothing, buttons, I don't know, thread, cloth, whatever. How do you ever make a shirt? I don't know how. So we got our what else? Not really much change visually. No, it doesn't change at all. But let's put footer in, because this is timely information. I want to somehow highlight urgency. Right down here in my article, right? It doesn't have to footer on the page. It's a footer in this article. Use another one of these seldom seen semantic tags. I'm going to use time. And I'm going to make believe today that co-op and I won't give surgeons, right? So much of this is about marketing and making games and pricing people come back, whether they want or not. Just, I don't know. Microsoft did this incredible article on how they make games appeal long after they've ceased being fun. This was ages ago. I read it. So anyway, things to bear in mind. So this is off, right? My amateur marketing skills. I want to say, look, Amazon said, get there now. It's a hot find. So let's go back in time. We're actually refresh this. There's nothing weird happening, right? It's really ugly. This is the frame that we're around. No one would ever come back to this page if they saw it, no matter how useful it is. So we're just going to make this basic structure, and we're going to adopt it for the rest of the demonstration component. So hopefully a little bit simpler than Instagram, hopefully a different approach, help you learn something new. I want to add a couple more of these just fleshing out. So I'm going to do a lot of paste. So if I go too fast, you still don't have about slowing down. So just one things people posted on my app. I can come here. Let's do a copy. I add one of these new article box. Look, it went out of line when I copy pasted. I want to make sure these things are always aligned to save your sanity when you're looking for a bug. I know it seems trivial. I'm just reading it. I know you will not listen to. I've been doing it long enough. That's what you make sure it's in type for your own benefit. The browser doesn't care, but you might. So adding another one, not necessarily see what it is. Oh yes, I'm on the deal of pseudo. So I'm going to come here and add this image. So same exact article. Now if I'm looking at my prep notes here correctly, this is $3.23 for 507 grams of Raiden brand, hashtag Raiden brand. I know it sounds kind of lame, but it's very active at Walmart. That's where I hang out. Go to Costco. It's my weekend. And I kind of love. What else can I do? Anyone has something better than going to Costco with your kids on the weekend? being sentimental. But this is another hot find I just saw today. So I got to get up to Walmart after work, some of these boxes. So space this up, make a different one more, and then we'll do the big reveal. Not going to look much better than it does now. So the next thing to look for is yogurt. Oh, and look again. Why does it do that? I want to make sure I stay in touch. Can you get in trouble? Go back to here. Swap the image. Brand new one. I've never actually heard of this brand. I was just looking for grocery stores. What is happening? You see that? What is going on? It's weird happening. My developer is there. Go check this out. Make sure I didn't screw something up. So I'm going to come over here. Press refresh. Okay, there's my raised brand. Good deal. There's that yogurt. Let's update that, and then we'll move on to something else. It's not too much different. All right, so this some yogurt, I'm pretending that's Sobeys. Yeah, these things. I guess I don't know. I don't get like realistic, right? It's good to work with data to kind of anticipate and to get people using your application as soon as possible, even before it's even really viable. The biggest challenge is getting eyes on your page. If you're interested in web development, there's lots of rooms for marketers. Okay, so this one I want to describe as a different way. I'll kind of give you an idea. Like I saw this, not necessarily me. It's no longer a hot find. I thought, oh gosh, don't you go check out. Might be what's all wrapped up. So just a little peek what we kind of going to do as part of it, because I don't know if we're going to have time in this class, but I really would like to get to the point where I can click on these hashtags and see and maybe make something kind of practical, even if it's only for personal use, because this is a very practical application for how I live my life. So one more thing, let's try to simulate that a little bit. We're totally faking it, but I'm going to put one of those hashtags right here on where it says banana. So this is just simulation, just a prototype. So if I come down here, my Cloud9 environment, right up at the top is where I post on that. And that's part of what Sinatra does. So we're giving a little bit of a sneak peek of what's happening here. Clearly, it's a dynamic web application. It's not static. It's going to change all the time. So I say HF, what Sinatra will do, it'll look in its database, and do a search on bananas. So I'm going to hard code another web page, a brand new set one. And I'm going to wrap that banana hashtag in an href. You see what I'm doing? Any questions about that? I just took where it says hashtag bananas. And I want to make this functional. At least I want to simulate it. So now, when I go refresh my page, I know it's kind of right. It's all the way down there. But now it's a link. So this will be the idea. If I click on it now, however, it's not found. I don't actually have a document called bananas.html. So I'm going to do one big copy and paste, right? To solve this problem immediately, all I need to do is create that file. It's asking for something. It's not there. So over here in my file tree, my file explorer, I'm just going to call it bananas. And then HTML, just like that. So now it's not going to show anything, right? But it won't crash. Let's try it now. Of course, this is just a blank page. We don't have a link to go back. We don't have the nav bar. Sinatra, the web framework will handle all of that stuff as well. Make sure that you get this functionality across the pages. So here's this. When I click bananas, I go to a page, but there's nothing. So this is from my prep work earlier today. Quicker of it. It's basically just the same thing, except bananas. So let's grab this, come back to Cloud9, and here's my empty banana document. Paste it from my prep notes. It's all bananas. Bananas. They'll get silver. See how I changed a little? Well, let's actually try it out. So here's my bogus deal breaker. Oh, selling bananas. Oh no, what's going on here? See, even the rudimentary stuff poses challenges. Did I make a mistake? Did I not? Oh, look at that. I didn't save it. See, it happens. I'm guaranteed one's going to be or amend. And so I don't know why it's not working. You didn't save it. See, it even happens. Not a big deal. Refresh. Okay, here's my bananas. You see how it changed, right? So we're anticipating a little bit of the functionality that a web application offers that static does not. Your most recent one, okay, 55 cents. Oh, wow, yesterday, June 6th, it was 48 cents. Oh, but then okay, well, just 2 days ago it was 99 cents, right? So this is the kind of stuff I want to offer to the public. Oh yeah, this other thing. So now we can kind of navigate back and forth. It's not pretty, but I'm going to try my best to make it look like something legitimate on Monday, and you'll get to witness that. So, any questions about HTML? Is that too easy? Is it too hard? Am I too fast? Too slow? What do you guys need?
Sure, I just have a question. Everything I write is coming up as kind of like a link, but you have just normal text. I don't know how to get it back to just undoing close.
Are you talking about on Cloud9? Okay. Anyway, if there's not any other questions, I'll shut this down. I'll write up the lecture notes, and Fuse is back there, and yep, we're all ready to go. So, and please don't be shy. And please talk to your partners, right? If you're having troubles, check Google, ask your neighbor, just for the sake of making friends now that we all are name tags. And remember up a real picture, it just makes life so much easier. Less embarrassing, too, because I can never remember some names.